morning and welcome to the Consciousness Cafe. This is part of Wisdom Wednesdays at SoulCallMinistries.org. My name is Lisa Ferraro. I'm the founder and spiritual director of SoulCall Ministries. And this morning, I'm so thrilled to welcome back Reverend Dr. Jim Lockard as we navigate the tides of change. That's been the theme through SoulCall Ministries through June. And Dr. Jim is going to help us with a workshop he's going to offer starting in July with some of the work of Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung. And I look at Jim as an expert on this area of looking at the shadow. He's got a really balanced background. He was a police officer in Dade County, Florida, and retired from that and became a super high profile, excellent minister, helping most people to look at the stuff that's going on inside and to help make sense of their world so they can live a more positive, balanced life. So welcome back from Lyon, France. Dr. Jim, good to have you here.
Yeah, it's good to be here from a very warm Lyon, France today, but summer has arrived.
Summer has arrived. And so in July, we're offering this workshop, Navigating Challenging Times, and looking at the shadow and doing some personal work. And that's going to be offered July 21st and the 24th, and then again on the 28th and the 31st. So it's 4 classes in a 2-week period, so you can really dig in and get a good start. Tell us about this class. Tell us about why now. What is going on is so unique in our experience of the planet at this time?
Well, there's a lot going on, as everybody I think knows, unless you've been living under a rock. But and there's the New York Times was pointing out in a story today that there are 5 crises going on, from climate change to the pandemic with COVID to the political crises to the Black Lives Matter issues, police brutality issues in the United States and elsewhere. Here in Europe, there have been a number of large demonstrations over racial inequity and police violence. So we're living through these times, and there's a whole different things stacked on top of one another, and there's a lot of complexity to it, and there's a lot of differing information, not just differing opinions, but you're seeing each opinion seems to have its own source of facts or own set of facts. And it makes it difficult for people. That you have to put some real effort into being able to discern what is valid or valuable from what is not. So, and there's political ramifications. People in the US that wear masks are often criticized, or even there's been cases of violence where, what are you wearing a mask for? And so forth, and other people seeing it as an insult. You have the pushback against the anti-racist movement, which is inevitable to be pushed back against something like that. And just all kinds of stuff. So, people are unhappy, they're afraid, they're confused. Many of them are, not being able to live their lives normally. You can't go outside. You can't go out the way you could before. You can't be in groups the way you could before. And you can't travel the way you could before. So there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And pressure, we respond to pressure often through fear, through stress, through frustration, anger, and even violence. Yeah. So all of this is kind of amplified and turbocharged because of the sheer number of massive events and situations that are unfolding right now.
So ours is to then recognize that we live in a world of duality. There's darkness and light. It seems like as the darkness comes out as boldly as it has, we would call certain things darkness. People of the side of the light seems like they're trying to shine, right? And then we get this whole shadow that we need to take a look at and deal with collectively. But it's more effective if we start with ourselves to understand how we navigate through these challenging times, and to find that middle ground where we're neither, where we are balanced on this, like Rumi would say, that dervishhood, that threshold between worlds, navigating as peacefully as we can within our own person. Last time you were with us, you shared a really important pearl, which was when things are moving quickly, we can only operate with what we already have command of within ourselves. So does this workshop help us to, I guess, sift through to find those nuggets in our character that we could start as a stronghold or a springboard into a more positive way of responding? to these
Yeah,
income?
well, what I'm trying to do with the workshop is give a useful perspective on how to view what's going on and how you as an individual and maybe people close to you are reacting and responding to it.
Yeah,
But the pearl of wisdom I think you're referring to was you don't get creative in a crisis.
that was it.
In an instantaneous crisis, you only can respond with what you've already practiced or know or whatever. Sometimes with a longer series of events like COVID or like climate change, we can get creative in the midst of it because it's a very long time. But sometimes when something hits you all of a sudden, all you can rely on is your preparation up to that point. So that's why I emphasize things like spiritual practices, and I know you are a big proponent of that as well. It's like having psychological awareness, so that I'm looking at myself and trying to develop in advance as much as possible for the kinds of challenges that I may face. And when a challenge does come up, I like to look at a challenge as calling forth something from me that hasn't been called forth before or hasn't been called forth in the same way.
Yeah.
And when I see myself responding negatively, I know I'm not meeting that challenge the way I would want to. So it's about kind of paying attention to that and not getting sucked into the drama of, oh my God, but say, oh, look at this. I'm really struggling with this.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at what's going on with me. What am I feeling? What am I sensing? Is there a way to look at this that might give me some direction?
Yeah.
So the hero's journey is a motif in mythology that provides a perspective that we ordinarily have as we're going through these actually somewhat predictable patterns of dealing with crisis, with challenge, with pressure. So that's really what it's about.
Great. I remember participating in a small version of this workshop with you in Simi Valley, California, years ago when we were doing our workshop together. And I think sometimes, what are some of the tricks you're going to be showing people or offering the opportunity to perceive, getting past that linear process where you think you've got it, to really getting into that subconscious part and allowing it to flow forward so you could see what is happening in the subconscious mind that makes you feel in the conscious mind, this is happening or that's happening, or that communication between those parts of our consciousness. Such a fascinating exploration.
Yeah. Well, what each class meeting is going to do, or class session is going to do, is look at a different aspect of the hero's journey. We're going to break it down to 4 to make it simple. There are some models that have like 17, and I don't think we need to do that. But you'll be encouraged between sessions to really, I'll give you a structured way to really go through how you have responded, reacted, been in that particular aspect of the journey. But the first aspect, for example, is the call, where we're called into the journey. And sometimes the call is voluntary. You say, I'm going to go to university, or I'm going to enlist in the military, and you find yourself in a new situation that requires a tremendous amount of growth for you to learn about it. But all call is involuntary. Maybe you're conscripted into the service, or maybe you go bankrupt, or you find out you have cancer, or the COVID hits and it affects your business and your personal life and things like that. You didn't voluntarily say, let's bring this on growth process. So how we respond to those 2 different types of calls is really important. And what I'll be able to show people is through some processes. See, you've been here before. You've been on a journey like this before, and you'll be able to see patterns in your life, and hopefully that'll give you from some perspective that say, okay, I have more agency or empowerment here than maybe I thought I had.
Excellent.
Which is really the goal of the whole thing.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Is there a book associated, or is it going to be mostly?
I'm not going to go from a specific book. I'll have a bibliography of recommended reading.
Okay.
This is kind of, it is kind of quick and dirty. It's 4 sessions as opposed, because it could be, it could be a multi-month course. But I think people are in the situations now. They need sort of a quick tool that they can use, and that might lead to some further exploration for some people. it might be enough for others. So yeah, there'll be a bibliography of things you can look at and so forth, but it's a pretty straightforward idea.
Yeah.
You know, and it is universal. And one of the things about Joseph Campbell, who developed the concept in our world of the hero's journey as being a study, he found that every culture on the planet has a version of it in their mythology. You know, from the Greek myths to what the Sanskrit story to the Native American myths, everywhere in the world there are creation stories and hero's journey stories, and the myths are developed to help guide us through what life brings at us. In our modern world, we've become very linear and in the way we think, and sort of lost track of the symbolic way of thinking and understanding the power of myth.
Yeah. It's going to be a fantastic class, and I think the timing of it is excellent. You can look for Jim also. We're going to invite you to do a Sunday on the talk of the shadow and light right before your classes start, so the third week of July. And so I want to thank you again for joining us and giving us a little snapshot into the Navigating Challenging Times workshop you're going to be offering independently, but also through SoulCall Ministries. You'll be able to find out more at soulcallministries.org. What kind of wine are you drinking this afternoon? That's
Well, we're having fish for dinner, so we'll be having let's see, what do I have in the refrigerator? I have an Aligote from Burgundy, a really nice white wine that's from the second white grape. Most Burgundy is Chardonnay. This is a very small planting, but it's a grape that's very good, and it's actually pretty inexpensive. So
excellent. What is how can we find your wine blog?
It's just jimlockardonwine.com.
jimlockardonwine.com. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. I thank you again for joining us this morning or this afternoon from Lyon, France. And love you so much. I appreciate your wisdom.
Love you, and look forward to connecting more and more, virtually and not.
Yes. May that happen on the sooner side. And also, Jim and I are going to be co-facilitating a workshop or a retreat in Geneva, Switzerland, in some form or another in October. And you'll find more of that on our website at soulcallministries.org, along with Natalia Zuckerman. It's going to be quite fantastic. So thank you once again. And for those of you joining us, we wish you all the best as you navigate through these tides of change. Take the opportunity. The workshop is only going to be $49 US dollars, and it's 4 days, a Tuesday and a Friday and a Tuesday and a Friday at the end of July. We will record those, so if you can't make the actual time, you'll be able to participate when you do have the time. We just want to make this accessible to you so that you can have some tools in your kit to navigate these tides of change in a way that feels empowered, centered, and connecting spirit, mind, body, so that you can navigate in a meaningful way, feeling the love and the curiosity rather than the pain and the fear, the love and curiosity, and go to it. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Wake Up with the Consciousness Cafe. Until then, know that you are loved.